Today, we're going to break down a really ambitious vision for social reform that's coming out of South Korea. It's an idea that asks us to totally rethink our role in society, and it all revolves around one single, powerful concept: the social parent. And this is it. This one sentence is pretty much the entire philosophy in a nutshell. It's a huge claim, right? That a brand new type of leader, what they call a social parent, is the actual key to finding global peace. So, what is a social parent, and how could they possibly pull off something so massive? Well, before we can even get to the solution, we have to understand the problem as it's being diagnosed here. The main argument is that our world is in such a state of chaos because something, or really someone, is missing. So, who are these social parents? Well, think of them as people who have moved beyond just their own private interests to really live for the public good. They're meant to be mentors, guides, leaders. Their main motivation is the health of society as a whole. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. The claim is that all of our current global issues, the disorder, the conflict, this feeling of being lost, it's all a direct result of these figures not showing up yet. The logic is pretty simple. Without these kinds of selfless leaders, society is just adrift. Okay, so if that's the diagnosis, what's the cure? This is where the movement gets incredibly specific. It doesn't start with some vague, fuzzy goal. Nope, it starts with a very concrete, very urgent mission. The framework poses this question to really focus its energy. With all the problems in the world, where on earth do you even begin? For this movement, the answer is to start at home, by tackling what they see as the most pressing issue in South Korea. And the answer is zero. The first, single, most important objective for this movement is to completely eliminate suicide in South Korea, to bring the national rate all the way down to zero. It is an unbelievably bold target, meant to confront a deep societal wound head-on. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. There's an actual timeline. Preparations are slated to kick off in 2025, with a full national rollout in 2026, and the target year to hit that zero suicide rate just a few years later, in 2030. This whole structure shows a real sense of purpose and urgency. Now, this is a crucial point. This is seen as way more than just a national project. Success in Korea is meant to be a proof of concept, a global sample, if you will. The belief is that if this kind of profound social healing can happen in one nation, it creates a replicable model for the rest of the world. This all raises a pretty big question. Who exactly are these people? Who is being called on to step up and become a social parent? Well, the source material gets very specific about who these agents of change are. According to this philosophy, the whole movement has to start in Korea because of a unique identity attributed to its people. The sources use two key terms here: Hongek Ingan, which is this idea of being born to benefit all of humanity, and Chanson, which translates to descendants of heaven. The argument is that this identity has been part of the culture for thousands of years, making Korea the necessary route for this global change. Okay, so that's the deep philosophical why. But what about the how? On a practical level, if someone in Korea feels this call, what are the actual steps to get involved? The requirements are pretty direct. First, it's about personal will and a real commitment to the mission. The second part is practical, being able to contribute a monthly membership fee of 30,000 won. That's about $22. And the source material adds a note here: this isn't meant to exclude people, but to first build a strong foundation of members who are stable and ready to contribute from day one. All right, now this next part, this is where the proposed reform gets really deep. It goes way beyond just joining an organization. It's calling for a profound internal shift in how every single person sees their role in society. This slide lays it out perfectly. The proposal is to just replace our old labels. You're no longer a worker, you're a researcher. Not just an employee, but a social researcher. Even a housewife is reframed as a home researcher. It's this universal upgrade in status and purpose. And this applies to literally everyone, no matter their job. A CEO becomes a representative researcher, a cleaner is a cleaning researcher, an intern is also a social researcher. The idea here is that every single role, every single action you take is a valuable form of research that contributes to our collective understanding of society. So why the big deal about changing names? What's the point? This quote really gets to the heart of it. The belief is that the label worker just limits our potential. But when you start seeing yourself as a researcher, you open yourself up to a whole new level of wisdom and insight. You're not just doing a task anymore, you're actively studying a system. And to make this mental shift feel real and tangible, the call to action is incredibly simple and direct. Print new business cards. Declare your new identity. It's a small physical act, for sure, but it's meant to trigger a much larger psychological change. The moment you put social researcher on a card, you start to live that new perspective. Okay, so let's zoom back out for the end game. How does this movement, which is so deeply rooted in Korean identity and starts with a national mission, actually scale up to its goal of global peace? The whole strategy is explained through this really powerful metaphor of a tree. South Korea is the root. The people there have to heal their own society first. Once that root is strong and healthy, symbolized by achieving that suicide zero goal, then it can support the trunk, which is global society. And the ultimate goal? The fruit, a brand new era of peace for all of humanity. And there's a timeline for this global expansion, too. The plan is to spend 3 solid years getting the movement established and strong in Korea. After that period of focused work, a global declaration will be made, inviting people from every nation to join the cause as social parents. So, to wrap it all up, this isn't presented as just another project or organization. It's a blueprint for a bottom-up revolution. It starts with your own individual identity. It moves to reform an entire nation, and its ultimate ambition is to transform global civilization itself. And that leaves us with a final, fascinating question to think about. If you set aside the specifics of this particular movement for a second, what would actually happen if an entire society made this shift? What kind of potential could we unlock if everyone, from the CEO to the cleaner, truly saw themselves as a researcher, all contributing to a collective project to make humanity better?